Thank you. Uh, I was going to talk about mindfulness and the chapter on mindfulness, right? Mindfulness, Sampa, Sati. Sati, really meaning the Pali word, maybe remembering or to know. But the knowing that is talked about in Sampasati or Sapajana is the knowing that is from wisdom, the knowing that comes out of the whole heart. It is not just cognizing, it is not the capacity of naming or labeling or describing, not that kind of knowing. It's actually the knowing that is wrapped in the Dharma. The knowing that comes throughout all time is not just yours, has been handed down from the lineage of all of us, all the wise ones, all the awakened ones, all the ancestors, all the goodness that has been flows throughout time in timeless now to right mindfulness. Right mindfulness for me, and it's where I began my own practice journey without understanding the Noble Eightfold Path for many, many years and not actually caring about it. I didn't have enough bandwidth. I was just trying to be in the present moment as best I could. I don't think I had it to go, is this right attitude? Is this coming from the right place? Is the right view here? Do I have right intention? Though I would say intention certainly followed next from right mindfulness. I started to understand the ideas of intention, even those things that were wholesome and unwholesome, as we just discussed last week in right effort. That is its primary. Is this going to lead to the end of suffering for myself and for others? Am I even asking the question? No. And will it propagate release? Will it propagate freedom? Or is it going to feed the addictive self-making, self-cherishing, self-preoccupied aspects of being that lead only to guaranteed and certain suffering? This is the truth of the Dharma. And the answer to all of those inquiries was, I don't know. I'm not even focusing on that. I'm just trying to get my pants on and get into the right position and get to practice every day. And some of us are, maybe even many of us are still working on that, and that's okay. Some of us are still working on how to get to 60 breaths and can't quite get that figured out. Well, what I know about that is that there's a lot of suffering and hindrances and potential right there. But again, right mindfulness, as established, says without the inquiry, without the stillness, without the turning of the attention towards one's own mind and body, there can be no knowing, right knowing, or sati. And from that, we cannot carve the path with those other 7 factors. And so this is a methodology factor. This one says there is a way to this, and we're going to be practicing it today and looking at the chapter on right mindfulness. But let's expand the slightly, if not significantly limited idea of mindfulness past stress reduction. That is a tiniest version Could it lead to stress reduction? Well, we have a lot of neuroscience and evidence to say that it does, but that calm actually is the result of a clear seeing mind that ultimately lets go, not constructs more self, but actually lets go of the impermanent aspects of sensations, of feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, of perceptions, of impulses, to say, this really isn't going to get it for us. And we just keep watching that, maybe for 20 years, maybe for 30 years, to go, this is not where the end of suffering or true relief, true calm, true happiness is at all. There are no earrings to wear. During the wedding, I was very cautious about this idea of if you only had the right outfit, then it all came together. In the end, did not even pick my dress. I let my son pick it. How it looked was not relevant. It didn't matter. What mattered was he wanted me to wear color that he wore, and that mattered. And consequently, out of that joining, connecting, love, you can't look anything but radiant, folks. That's how that goes. Love does that. And whether the dress is long or short or thin or doesn't, not relevant. The beauty of it comes from Sampa jhana, this right knowing. Let me join you. Let me be with you. Let me connect with you in all the ways we possibly can, to let you know what? That you are loved, that you are held, that you are not going to try to love in this life independent of all this community, these friends and family, but with their support and with their holding you. Sometimes in beautiful times like these, and sometimes in very difficult times, as we all know, for any of us who have been in relationship, right? Sometimes very difficult times, not less beautiful, but not less beautiful when held and seen clearly. And that, for me, is the definition of right mindfulness. So let's practice with it today a little bit. Let's see how we do. We all think we know a little bit about mindfulness, but we're going to begin to expand that definition to clear seeing through the eyes of the Dharma, not just naming, noticing, and experiencing, but through the lens, through the Noble Eightfold Path of the Dharma. That is what we mean by right, wise, wholehearted, skillful, complete mindfulness. I thought I'd pick a poem from Mary Oliver this morning. It happens to be one I read every April because the only 2 words about it I can remember happen to be that. I just had a little challenge here, so I apologize. Let me get that back for you. I think I accidentally killed it because I don't see it.
No, it's there.
Okay, I can't see it somehow, so I did a fun thing. Let me see if I can locate it.
I hate when that happens.
Don't you? Because there you are. If somebody else can see it and wants to read it, I think that would be, oh, here it is. I see it. Okay. I love that. So here's what we have to say as we prepare to sit, finding our way to the body. Here we go. In April, here we are. The ponds open like black blossoms. The moon swims in every one. There's fire everywhere. Frogs shouting their desire, their satisfaction. What we know, that time chops at all of us like an iron hoe. That death is a state of paralysis. What we long for, joy before death, nights in the swale, everything else can wait, but not this thrust from the, can't read that, root of the body. Not this thrust from the root of the body, what we know, we are more than blood. We are more than our hunger. And yet we belong to the moon. And when the ponds open, when the burning begins, the most thoughtful among us dreams of hurrying down into the black petals, into the fire, into the night, where time lies shattered into the body of another, where time lies shattered, torn apart, no longer relevant. We are not just this blood, we are more. And our mindfulness is here to support us in that remembering, in that clear seeing and knowing. And so let's sit. Part of our Sati, right? Mindfulness means for a moment, as we set our intentions and aspirations for our practice, for a moment that we recollect all those who have contributed to our being here, present, alive, any wellness we have, any goodness we have, we know has come from another. It is not simply ours. And this begins immediately, doesn't it? The unclinging, the letting go. This is not about how good I am at all. This is the goodness that has been bestowed upon me by all those others, known and unknown, seen and unseen. And if you don't know this, there is no right mindfulness. It's not possible. The way you're going to sit today is very little about you. It is about all of those factors and functions and loves and wounds that have come throughout all time. And so we sit for a moment simply reflecting on that. The whole of this life, not just at my birth, but all that contributed before. And so we grow both larger, beyond the small self sitting here, and smaller, not just about me at all. And the way once I picture that, it always moves me. That is the heart of bodhicitta, the heart mind awakening in us all. I bring it back down into the body itself. This is the beginning of our right mindfulness practice. And so I just begin by turning the mind towards the body in that amazement that here I am in the midst of the whole of this universe being supported in all of these infinite, even unknown ways. And I bring it back into just this body, feeling the feet as they rest on the floor. And then taking a big in breath, and then on the out breath, just feeling into the seat, letting myself settle. Letting go of all the things I think I need to be holding up or getting right. There's no thinking about this. Let the breath breathe. And with each out breath, then we begin the release. No longer having to hold up any the architecture. It doesn't have to look a certain way. It doesn't have to be a certain way. Can I let go of this idea of the me, mine, and I doing any of it? This is right mindfulness. We already know, not about me, bigger. And can you find a resting and calm breath within the truth of that? And how would it breathe you? And what always happens for me is that the out breath just drops. Like, stop trying to hold it all up. Ugh. We make room with each out breath then for all the other factors, all the other people, all the other conditions that have contributed to the good in the world. We let go of the self so that we can open to the whole truth, the good in me and the good in you. And then we wish this goodness not only for ourselves, not only for our circumstance, not only for our stress reduction, not only for our ease. It is not big enough in right mindfulness. We wish this for the whole of the world, for all beings who, just like me, are sitting here wishing for ease and calm and happiness and well being. And then we dedicate this practice, even at the beginning. We give it away before we begin. May we offer this to all beings everywhere, without exception, omitting none, awakening us, freeing us, holding us all in love. Feeling into the body as a whole, sitting here breathing. We have just spent the last moments with the question, why am I sitting here? Why have I chosen this day, this practice? And not only the why as it relates to the me right now, but as it relates to the we throughout all time. And that's the beginning of right mindfulness right there. It doesn't just hold the self in some small, encapsulated, vacuum packed way. It says the I, if there is such a thing in this moment, in connection and relationship to all other things. How is it right now? And the what question, why, we've answered what. We're just firstly attending to the body and body sensations. So we find the body, and then we see if we can refine our attention to begin to notice the sense of the breath in its impermanence and momentary presence. Can we find that somewhere in the body? The chest, the belly, the diaphragm, the abdomen. And we rest with intention. Rest there. Know the whole of this body breathing. And then we refine the instruction. Know the in breath as the in breath, and the out breath as the out breath. Placing attention on purpose is one of the functions of right mindfulness, but it is not sufficient on its own. Looking through the lens of the Dharma, the commitment to sustaining attention, and then to the seeing and to the remembering. This breath, like all things, what are its characteristics? Like all things, including you. It appears, takes form, changes, and disappears, like all things. Remembering the essential truth of impermanence. Remembering and seeing the essential truth that no thing is independent of every other thing, including you. That there's no way to keep, to hold, to make mine any breath, any sound, any sensation, or any thought. And so we release. This is the training. with each out breath. We let them go. And we don't force the release because that's a kind of resistance rejecting. We don't refuse the breath. We don't refuse sensations. We don't refuse the knowing. We simply let it come and be and pass and go on its own, seeing the true nature of all things. Nothing to get rid of, nothing to resist, nothing to change. See if you can locate some ease in the body and rest the attention there. We are unifying the mind, pacifying the hunger, the thirst, the seeking, the clinging. In this small one action, resting the attention in the experience of the breath. So we've examined why we practice, what we're focusing on, not only in the relevant present moment, but what our aspirations are for our larger desires, wholesome desires for ease, for happiness, for peace, for well being, not only for ourselves, but others. And then the how. How do we do it? Well, we do it moment by moment, again and again. And this takes discipline, commitment, patience, compassion, and true love, true kindness to offer this to oneself each day. Most of us are not this kind. How? The how is through the lens of the Dharma. We're not just sitting here. We are suturing, making whole, creating space and room to remember. And the instruction here says when you've noticed that the mind has moved from the elected object, for currently it's just the breath, that itself is a moment of mindfulness, that you have been awakened and liberated. You're once again here and most present, most whole, most capable of love, of clear seeing, of wisdom, of relationship. And then we simply begin again. Our true mindfulness is not the only the seeing the characteristics of the breath. It's beginning to see the characteristics of our relationship to the breath, the aversions that we have or the attachments, the liking or the not liking. I like a long breath, not so much a short one. That sense of pleasant and unpleasant that comes with contact with any object, even the neutrality of the breath. So we even have opinions, beliefs, thoughts about this one breath. And it says, paying attention. Samma Sati, we begin to notice how the mind relates. Oh, I like this one. That was pleasant. I want to keep this. Why can't it be like this always? How come I have to sit through this like this? We just notice the narratives, the perceptions, and without judgment, with a kind and gentle regard, we begin to just notice the relationship of our conditioned mind to this very neutral thing called the breath. We begin to know the quality of mind. Maybe a distracted mind, maybe a liberated, calm, peaceful mind, without judgments or opinion. Can we just see the relationship and how it is playing out and know something about it? Are we judging the breath, condemning it? Are we restless? Are we sleepy? Are we wanting something or not wanting something? Are we simply abiding, stable, present? Right mindfulness, the knowing and the remembering that we know. Can I fully experience the breath, the sound, the sensation, the thought, maybe even the emotion without clinging? We practice here in the breath. There's nothing to cling to, it comes and goes. And in this unification of mind and body, in this awakening, as we rest in the present moment, we begin to see the qualities of mind, the gripping and the cause of suffering, the wanting, the not wanting, and its habit pattern. And how every time we do it, there's a grip, a contraction, shrink wrapped mind, and the suffering that comes. And we see it. And in the seeing, we feel for ourselves. We do not wish this suffering, this struggle. And so we begin again at the breath. We simply let go and begin again. My teacher used to say, nothing to cling to, no one clinging. There's not even a solid self to do it. There's just this moment, it's arising, its presence, it's changing, and it's passing. No one Diana. Different qualities of heart and mind, different objects, and the knowing. See if you can feel that stability of mind, that sense of greater ease and wholeness, that remembering the wisdom that is its result. And then we take delight and are glad. We sit joyfully. There is a place and a way beyond the clinging, beyond the grip. And it comes in Samma, Sati. It is wise and skillful and loving. Even when that habit natured me can't be. It is always here, always available. Just this one breath and moment. When do we practice? Just now. Where do we practice? Here. Here in this present moment. With the body, just like this. With the mind, like this. And with that open, boundless heart, just like this. Mindful, present, knowing, and loving. And may this practice, this very day, contribute to the end of suffering and the realization of true abiding, unconditioned happiness and freedom for all. Just like this. So I want to check in with you all here, just seeing if there were any um, particular experiences regarding this very basic, very essential practice. It's a practice that we do for life. If you never came across another practice, it would be more than sufficient for all wisdoms, all clarity, all love to be cultivated. So I'm just going to drop in. I see Adrian dropped in. Good morning. Good morning. Anything to say about this practice? We all know it at one level, and we're all discovering it, aren't we? Yes, each moment on another level. It is not something that you can say, well, I've just got that now. I don't have to keep practicing. That's something actually for me that I had to do a little work with right after taking the 8-week course. I sort of thought, well, I got this. It makes sense now. I have a lot of clarity. I think I could be okay. Nope. Every day, and every day that I do this practice, whether it's 60 breaths, 60 minutes, 8 hours, I learn something every single breath. That is Samma Sati. I'm learning, growing, healing in capacities for love, compassion, and wisdom every single breath. I don't know a way to do it faster or better than this practice. If I did, I would tell you. I haven't read a book. I haven't had a shroom experience. I haven't greater than this practice at all. And so if you're looking for what can I get that's better, I don't know it. I do not know it, and I have looked. I am by habit a seeker. So I'll save you a lot of time and energy there. Anything else anybody wants to say about this before we go to the chapter? That means you know it too. You know it too. And that's good. Thank you. Let me see if I can find a new share screen to get us to the chapter. This says Kindle. Let's see if it's true. Yeah. So here were the, I hope you guys can see this. I'm assuming you can. Here were just some of the inquiries or the questions that I also invited during the practice. I did not necessarily offer the same answers as I might in another moment. So just know there's no one answer. It's what's the answer that's arising that you can make contact and connection with right now. Why am I practicing? Why am I even sitting here in meditation or cultivating awareness? What am I aware of? Is it just the body? Is it my relationship to the body? Is it the quality of mind? I even invited some of that. That's really peering through the lens of Sati. How am I doing that? Remember, I said beginning and continuing again and again. That was my answer in that moment. What was yours? Where am I aware? Where am I practicing? I just said here and when now. And those are just things that came to me. I didn't study those. I didn't uh, pre-write them. That was just what was there this moment. And might it have been different? Well, the guarantee is that it would have been different in another moment. Since each moment is unique in its own. I'm going to go to the beginning of chapter, I think it's 9. Let's see. And let's see what specific invitations Gregory Kramer, it's 10. Sorry about that. Right mindfulness, Samma, Sati. Right, correct, whole, loving, present, wise. You find your word for Samma. Sati, remember, and he defines it as well. He, I think, does reference the same word that I frequently do for to know, to remember, to recollect. And that's those are common translations of the word. It is the 7th in the Noble Eightfold Path. And it is for me the integrator, the balancer, the using of all the other path factors, right view, right intention. We just covered right effort. Remember those that are most related to the ethic, right livelihood, right action, and right speech. That's how we do it every day. And within that, without right mindfulness, I don't know how you get to it. If you're not present, available, and aware, I don't know how you can see clearly to go, is this wholesome or not wholesome? Is this of benefit or not of benefit? Is this a benefit to something that will invite my release, or is this a benefit in the construction of the self that is going to propagate suffering? And so those are the Dharma questions we reflect on, and Gregory agrees that Sati is essential to the path. He also agrees, by the way, that stress reduction is one small component of that, as I said before, and I don't even use that language anymore because I think it's so small and so limited. What it says here is Sati is recollected awareness. Awareness occurs first, that which is occurring now, and what comes right after that knowing now is recollected awareness. Oh, I see. It always happens one brief iteration after awareness itself. There is first that which is aware, and then there is the knowing that you are aware. And that, in fact, is what Sati is. Sati is essential, as I said, and Gregory says as well. It is the basis of all wise choice, of skillful means. It is the ethical foundation on which we rest. It is asking those questions. Is this of benefit or not of benefit? Only through right mindfulness can we know the answer to those. If we do not attend mindfully, what I have here in pink is only our habits are guiding us. It's like an unattended garden for me. I get out in my garden several times a week and water and weed and fertilize and attend. And in that way, I get a certain result. And the same is true for right mindfulness. There is an attending each moment, each breath, one at a time, here and now throughout the day, that as we are in attending, we see clearly. the causes and conditions that are contributing both to our distress and to the end of our distress. What is the primary cause of suffering? Ignorance of the fact that we are in wanting or not wanting, clinging to wanting something for the self. And that when we don't see that, there is no possibility for the end of that. That's what Sati, he means when he says Sati is the inflection point, the exclamation point, you could even say, of freedom. If you cannot see how you are clinging and how you are attached and how you are in aversion and how you are in sloth and how you are right, if you can't recognize that, there is no way to get out of this cycle of suffering. It also says that Sati enables an ethical life. It guides the path as a whole, including all the other path factors, as I said. It is a key mental quality for the arising of liberating insight. If you cannot see, if you're not attending, you cannot know. It's pretty simple. A key aspect of the practice of Sati is the integrated awareness of an object and knowing you are aware. Remember, there are these two elements, awareness in knowing. Knowing that we know is actually what Sati is. You're experiencing billions of cognizing points throughout the day, billions, literally. You don't know most of them, though you were aware. Little contact hits are happening all the time. But until you are aware of the contact, until you are aware of the relationship, until you are mindful, the truth is those things are just coming and going without the capacity to be of benefit. They're happening, of course, in all directions at all times, but until we place our attention there with then intention, it's just billions of brilliant fireworks happening in the world till you know something about them. Not very usable, not very usable. We use the body, says Gregory, which is correct in the teachings of the Buddha. We always begin there. Why? Neutral, generally, and always available, always present for us. And because the body is experiencing, we can actually attend and know that we are experiencing through the body. And that includes sense doors like smelling, hearing, tasting as well. So that's all he's saying here. Sati is remembering to notice. Not only do we notice the object itself, there is more, and I tried to include it today. There is the knowing that you are noticing, and that is Samma, Sati. It guides where we place attention. It guides the clear seeing and ultimately cultivates wisdom. No matter what I do, the breath comes and goes. No matter what I do, thoughts arise and pass. Emotions appear and disappear. And not only do we see them in that way, we begin to recognize their factors. When I am tired, I tend to have a more pessimistic or averse mind state. That just happens when I'm tired. I get overstimulated. I don't want it anymore. I go into not wanting. I want to, right? And that's just something that's really skillful and wise for me to notice, because then I can take care of that. And I can take care of myself in relationship to it. If I'm not paying attention, if I'm not mindful, I just will be in suffering and with the potential to keep propagating it. And your damage is not of benefit to you or to the world. He talks about whether we can use awareness on a single object or open field of awareness. And of course, we've already all practiced enough to know that both are available. Sati is remembering in a way similar to what's meant when we say, remember, Grandpa is hard of hearing. Yes, it's a recollection, a remembering that we know. Remembering that we know. It is not simply remembering the object, it is remembering the wisdom, remembering the right that we know. It is a natural capacity of the human mind that is cultivated and refined and can be trained, which is what we do every single week here. Walking with and without a framework. What Gregory really says here is that without the Noble Eightfold Path, the seeing, the contacting is simply object contact. It is not Sati. I can name a tree as a tree. I can name a lamp as a lamp. I could name a foot as a foot. And though that is valuable for getting through the world, it doesn't incorporate the Dharma. It doesn't say, and what about our relationship to that? What about the essential truths or Dharma or Dhamma of that foot, that tree, that pet, that plant? And these essential truths are identified here. One is anicca, which is that all things are impermanent. Another is anatta, that they are not stable or yours. They cannot be held, kept, or secured. And also suffering, dukkha, that in our attempts to do so, to secure, to keep, to grip, there is only suffering. And these essential truths occur over and over again, thousands and thousands of times, don't they? And we have to keep seeing it. Oh, when I grabbed that, when I wanted that to stay, when I didn't want that to end, when I wanted it to go a different way, there is distress. And that clear seeing allows for better ways to attend. As you begin walking, he makes a suggestion that we walk simply walking, noticing the changes in movements, the changes in the surround around you. And of course, that is what we're doing during walking meditation. And he says, can you see the effortless flow of one thing into the next, even in the movements, even in the knowing of them? For a lot of people, moving is a really beautiful way to begin to cultivate awareness, because we don't grip onto it quite so tight like we can even in the movement of the breath. So that was one suggestion for him, is that we might do mindful walking. We will be doing lots of mindful movement next week. We will be in retreat. Monday through Wednesday afternoon will be silent retreat. Please join us. I have to correct something I just heard from Carrie on the website to sign up. And then from Wednesday evening through Saturday, we will be in guided and silent practice. We look forward to seeing you for some amount of time there. Please join us. Important for us to be there together. He goes on to say that the way mindfulness is constructed now as stress reduction is very small in its definition. And of course, we knew that. Non-judgmental awareness, we have to be careful. He's saying here that we don't think of non-judgment as non-discerning. Non-judgment means without criticism, without opinion, without bias, without prejudice, without conditioning. It doesn't mean not paying attention, or it doesn't mean not discerning. So there's a common mistake in the Zen tradition that we have no opinion, and that means that we don't take skillful or right action. You just are passive in the experiencing of the world, and that has never been the ideas as espoused by the Buddhist teachings. In fact, quite the opposite. Acting skillfully is a part of the path. Judging the thoughts as unskillful, it is critical to know what's wholesome and unwholesome, and that requires a certain opinion, I guess he was trying to say. Sampajana, that simply means knowing so as to be skillful, knowing so that we can be skillful. It's not just knowing, but knowing that allows us then to be skillful. In formal meditation, there's one way of cultivating this, and also on the spot in our everyday lives. Um, we can wake up. There is sudden awakening and gradual cultivation of awakening. And so you can go, wow, there it is. I wasn't even really in formal practice, but I can see clearly that to say anything now would cause harm and distress. And that's a beautiful result and effect of our formal practice. And I happen to love that reality. Sati is an intrinsically wholesome, broad, and flexible quality of mind. It does arise spontaneously. He says it too here. Sudden awakening, there I am, wow, I see it clearly and can now use it for other future considerations and wisdom. The mind looking inward at itself, both of what is going on in the mind and at Sati, the knowing that we know, is an act of observation. Not only do we do that with qualities of our own mind, we do that with what behaviors, feelings, and in experiencing objects in their essential dharma. It is the essential to all life practice. People with a great deal of sati will be relatively unflappable because they do not lose track of the larger purpose. Reactivity cannot gain a foothold. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It does happen. But they are able to choose how they are going to engage or relate, even to the reactivity. As I've said many times, my increasing preference is to remain silent. Sometimes I make a joke about something because it's apparent, but like it's not going to be worth reacting to it. Knowing aversions and hindrances is also quite important to sati. It is knowing our own reactive state. Sati's non-reactive character, it doesn't have the capacity for reactivity, tends to downregulate and de-automate our reactivity. Yes, it does. People tell me all the time, wait a minute, I've been practicing with this for 25 years and I still react. Yes, you will, but you are not reacting the same as you would have once, and that's a fact. Sati actually essentially guarantees that you will not have the same reactive patterns, because seeing them allows for the choice in them. They're no longer automatic. That's a beautiful thing. We become what we give attention to. Yes, it's true. Hang on to that thought, folks. We become what we give attention to. I'm going to ask you to look carefully this week at what are you placing the mind on and how is it growing? What we put the mind on becomes the truth of our world, and in fact becomes our world itself, where we place our attention. Let's look this week. Right mindfulness is watchful, attentive, curious, and present moment. What are we placing our attention on? If it's why not, how come not me, how come not me, notice that is what that contributes to in you and in your present moment body experience, for example. Sati helps us see deeply into the truth of our experience with its complex web of causality, sometimes seeing right to its core and giving rise to insight, the understanding that invites release and freedom. Once you see, oh, the reason I'm eating the caramel corn is that I miss my father, as an example, well, then I can just rest in missing my father, letting it be, and not having to look for some Band-Aid, some callus, some distraction from that pain. One of the things that happened during the wedding, when we have, of course, all of our family present, is that we also noticed, both Al and I noticed who wasn't present, my father. who has died, was not present. Al's dad, Jim, who has died recently in September, was not present. My brother Steve's twin, Mike, was not present. And we also took time to grieve that, noticing that their absence, at least physical form absence, of course, was also felt, as was their other capacities and presence, their love of Tyler and Jenny over these many years. So that's Sati. It is not just the seeing, it's the seeing in the larger context, the knowing of something. And we could hold that together in knowing, and knowing that we know. You can feel distracted, petty, averse, complain. Try taking several short mindful pauses. This is going to be our other practice throughout this week. Not only are we asking, where am I placing the mind right now? Can I take a few breaths, 3 to 5 cycles of breath throughout the day? Again, we cannot do it enough to see what's happening. What is automatically occurring in our mind body right now? It's pretty useful for us to know something about that. Again, it says from that turning of one's attention with knowing, we will begin to see the essential truths of everything. It's impermanent, unsatisfactory. That simply means unkeepable, and you can't own it. Nothing just about you, folks. Way of all things. Even when you went, I did it, not really. You and the billion factors having to do with and in this life. And when we remember that, we can breathe more easily. Not just about me. Sati can also free up the cognitive field. Yes, we become a little more creative. Our imagination is greater. Music and art are clearly impacted by this beauty of Sati. This being just fully present also invites greater happiness and ease and connection in our world. All good news there. I think you're getting the idea. The mind is naturally inclined towards greater kindness and generosity through Sati. How is it? Well, because we see not only ourselves, but ourselves in the web of all of life. And in the care for ourselves, we know we must care for it all. And this is, of course, one of the things that's beginning to happen as we look at the eco-dharma, that if we are not attending and caring for ourselves, we will not attend and care for the world, the earth, and others, and vice versa. And that we have to begin in our small ways, just here, again and again. And don't you notice that then kindness and generosity are the natural, as well as compassion, the natural result of that knowing. A limited goal like this can free energy and focus, to get out of suffering, allowing some insight into the suffering cycle. What Gregory's really saying here is the just desire to not be in so much distress is valid. It counts and hopefully grows. That not only do you wish for your own relief, your own benefit, but you see the interconnection and consequently can only wish for the relief and the benefit of all beings. I don't want to go into the Buddhist texts. I like this encouraging Sati and others. I think there are a couple ways to do it. We're going to practice that this week. How do you encourage Sati and others? You encourage Sati and others by being in Sati yourself. That's number one. Mindful yourself, present yourself, clear seeing yourself, loving yourself. That's the beginning. And then you can share or speak to those elements. I don't think this is the same as proselytizing, by the way. I don't think it's to say, well, I'm in a mindfulness group and I think you should be too. I think it's much harder. I think it's how to encourage and support others' compassion, others' mindfulness, others' loving kindness others' equanimity. Uh, and I want us to look for ways this week where we can support that, first by being it, second by framing it, speaking to it, encouraging it, supporting it in others. I think one of the ways we also support uh, mindfulness growing is by retreat time. I think our own growth and development and retreat is essential, as well as inviting and encouraging others uh, to practice in the ways that they do. Maybe it doesn't look like mindfulness meditation practice. Maybe it looks like centering prayer. Maybe it looks like Sufi dancing. Maybe for someone, yoga, but with the larger frame, not with yoga as exercise, but the true joining of mind and body. And in all those ways, as we support others, we are growing not only our own mindfulness, but mindfulness in the world. And I think that's what Gregory's talking about here. Take a moment to consider who you might support and how you might support them, as we are humble and carry humility in it, not look at me, how mindful I am. That doesn't work very well. Sati and Sila. Sati always supports ethics, morals, right action, the rightness of things, and that comes naturally. As we are more mindful, we can be, there's just no way you could continue to be aggressive because you would see its harm to you and others. There's no way you could be unkind. You would see its negative impact to you and others. There's no way you could stay righteously angry. You would see its damage to you and others. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't take action, however, and that that action wouldn't be fueled by the strong drive to stop harm. Those things go together, I think. The ethical factors, that's what we practiced in our last series: right speech, right action, and right livelihood, along with right view, are prerequisites for the development of mindfulness. Immoral actions, how to sit with them, there is no way. So if you are a bank robber, if you are a murderer, if you are a thief, if you are taking something that is not yours, if you're propagating harm to another, the truth is there is no way to be mindful. Mindfulness will point you to them, but you will not be able to sit restfully, calmly, and at ease as long as you are caught in the grip of those afflictions. And that's one of the ways we know we get to look at, what are the active afflictions and addictions that I am caught in, because the mind will usually spin us right there. I call that watermelon mind from my 30-day retreat. Present moment awareness of self and other grows naturally, inclines naturally. Sati also acts like a guard. It keeps us from harmful actions. I just said that. It's beautiful. And it goes, yep, not worth that, not worth that. Don't want to propagate that. Sati lets us know when we are about to go down. So some not so good road. I really like that. It's true. We don't always listen, I will say. And especially if it's addictive and a habit, we really don't listen. But boy, don't we really know anyway. And even if you're eating the Snickers, even if you're having sex for the 30th time this week, even if you're drinking the 19th thing, even if you're eating extra ice cream, the truth is there is some part of us that knows. And to see if we can't stay mindful would be skillful. Mindfulness, then, the last thing I'll say about it, is also compassionate. Can we see our habit and still feel for ourselves and the wish to end our suffering? And if we are in Sati, Samma Sati, there is no way uh, to recognize the truth of our afflictions, our addictions, our habits, or our hindrances without feeling deep, deep, deep wish for its end and its relief. There would just be no other way. Um, we often shut down once we recognize a habit or an affliction because we go right into judgments. But that is not Samma Sati. Samma Sati could only feel for you in the affliction, can only feel and wish for um, your greater ease and happiness. That, I think, for me, is the real definition of Samma Sati. It is not just a recognition, and it is not just a knowing what we know, it is a knowing what we know with deep compassion and kindness. The Buddha used examples here. I'll let you guys go forward and look at this. I don't think there's more here that I feel it's beautiful chapter, but I don't know that there's more I think I need to review with you all. Let me see if I can go forward here a little bit and see how much more there is. There's some other practices you might consider. I'll let you do that in your time. That's these. Of course, it's a lengthy chapter, rightly, because right mindfulness is essential to the path. I hope I didn't go past. Yep, here we go. Right samadhi, or concentration, is chapter 11. We are going to do this next Tuesday. I will be in retreat, but I think I can get online. I'm going to give that a try. I'd like us to get through the 8 factors. Chapter 11 is the 8th noble factor, right samadhi. I'd like to try for this next Tuesday. I will put something out about that. I'll be in silent retreat. That doesn't actually mean no talking always. Noble silence is not just about speech, it's actually about speaking from the Dharma when speech is indicated. And so I would like to try for that next Tuesday with chapter 11, right samadhi. I'll try to write some stuff up about what we've talked about today for possible practice. This will be offered to you as a link if you want to review. But next week, I'm going to stamp this. We will come back next Tuesday on the 3rd of May for right samadhi. Carrie and Courtney, at least, and I think Liz will be with me. Please feel free to join for some days of practice. We all need that, and we need you there as well. So let me stop this. Let's take a minute together, just gather ourselves. Resting in Samma Sati. Where we place the mind, so we make the world. What will you choose to make of this day? May we be restful and have ease. May we be filled with loving kindness and compassion. May we begin and continue Samma Sati, right mindfulness, beginning with the first several breaths of the day. May we take several pauses and check in to the quality of our awakened heart mind. Where is my attention right now? May we offer this practice to the end of suffering and true happiness and freedom for all beings. May it be so this very day, making it a very, very, very good day. So good. Thank you all so much for being here with me this morning. I look forward to seeing you in retreat. Quest Haven is the most delightful place on earth for me um, because of all the beautiful moments that we hold together there. I hope you can join me. Please go to encinitasmindfulness.org. There's a sign up there. You'll see it. I have to go correct something on it. If you're going to come for 2 days, I've got to fix something. So if you don't see it, just know there's a little correct to be made there. Otherwise, I'll look forward to seeing you on Tuesday, the 3rd, for chapter 11, right samadhi, Samma samadhi. And yes, you're so welcome, Tanya. Good to see you all. Thank you all for your blessings and your wishes and your help during this incredible wedding week. I'm ready to go into retreat and just soak it all in to the marrow. So thank you all. Lovely to see you. Adrian,
Bye, Diane.
good to see you. Have a great day at work.
Thank you, honey.
All right, everyone. Blessings to all. Margie, it will not be inside. We will be practicing primarily outside, though we have cover as needed. It's supposed to be rather pleasant there. So no, I do not really want to be indoors. It will primarily be outdoors. And spring at Quest Haven is stunning. No bugs, so we don't have to worry, unlike the summer with the flies all over us. They're not there yet. So I hope you will choose to join us for some amount of time. There's lots of commuter times available. Nobody has to stay there. I hope you'll see us. If you're considering it, just let me know and we will talk about it, figure out how to get you up there. All right, everyone. Mwah. Be well.